I loved the Grammys last night, the Grammys 2012. But what I want to talk about right now, focusing on so many things. I just watched, for example, Adele's performance again because it was just all that. But I'd just like to take a quick moment to talk about Mr. Chris Brown and Miss Rihanna. Now, we all know the fiasco about him beating her, and I think there was some talk because he handled it pretty well. I don't think she handled it very well, and as a public, we handled it damn poorly. For example, many people would object to the fact that Chris Brown was the poster boy of the Grammys last night. It wasn't just that he was just there doing this and then the other. He was like all over the Grammys last night. Celebrated. You know, we get to look at his little bare chest over and over and over and over and over again. And video is live, he performs, and this, that, and the other. At the same time, we get to see Rihanna looking raggedy as heck. I mean, looking like a rag doll, literally in some nasty weave. We hear of her charges. You know, there was one instance in the UK where she was filming a video recently, and people are like, why is this heifer running around naked in public? And at a certain point, you really do have to ask yourself, why is all of her, music iconography about basically being a porn star, a sex kitten, you know? And that really is fundamentally what she does, and it's not just her. You look at someone like, look at all the dominant pop divas. Look at the Beyonce, look at the Shakira, look at the Britney, and of course you go back to the big one, Madonna. And it really is about rolling around and taking your clothes off. And just to prove a point, I mean, just look at Whitney Houston. She didn't have to take her clothes off to do that. So when you look at Chris Brown and you're angry at how our industry and as a public we seem to have celebrated him and not perhaps sufficiently punished him, look at two things. On the opposite side, um, that kind of thuggish, buggish, I'll use violence to deal with anything kind of guy, and his compliment that I'll do anything, I'll lay down and spread my legs at the drop of a hat, girl. Well, there they are, and there they were last night, and we saw both of them, and I think that's a true American story. Just as the tragic Whitney Houston, being so wonderful and going so high and yet falling so deeply. Um, that's a true American story. That's our American tragedy in a sense. When we look at the blues, I think one thing that resonates about the blues is that it is so tragic. Even though it's a pickup, you know, music, we often tend to forget that. And we lose ourselves, we martyr ourselves. And so there we have our two martyrs, and however wicked we see it, Chris Brown's the comeback kid. And Rihanna, well, she's a success story. Why? Because she gets to roll around with her legs spread on the ground. That's the comeback story. So just look at who we are, look at where we were. And if that's ugly to you, well, you don't have to roll in the deep like that.